Hi guys, and welcome back to another Only One Hotspur podcast. Today we are previewing Derby Day against Woolwich Arsenal, to give them their full name. So me and Joe have been joined today in the interest of balance. As you can see, he's repping a bit of toilet paper. Nelson Natumba. So Nelson is representing the red half, the dark side of North London. Nelson, great to have you on with us today. Obviously a massive game. I'm going to come to you first. As we know, Derby Day is always a big game, no matter what's happening between the two clubs. How do you see Derby Day panning out from your perspective?
First of all, thanks for having me here, boys. Pleasure to be here to talk about Derby Day. Always probably the best cup final, in my opinion. Quite biased as well, but probably the best derby in the league as well in terms of entertainment. But in terms of heading towards Sunday's game, I'm really looking forward to it because I think this is probably one of the most important derbies in recent memory, simply because there's a lot that both clubs are fighting for. Obviously, we're fighting for European hopes of qualifying for next year's European competitions. And heading into, I'm really looking forward to it. I think it'll be a nail biter. I think form goes out the window when it comes to any derby day. I've noticed that over the last few games, especially obviously the previous meeting was a 2-2 draw. I think both teams were kind of in mixed form, but it was a really entertaining game. So I'm hoping for more of the same, but obviously I honestly don't know what will happen because I think there's a lot to fight for. So I'm honestly not sure, but yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with your point. Form definitely does go out the window come Derby Day. Joe, how do you see this panning out from a Tottenham perspective? I don't know if you're trying to look and trying to find us 3 points behind you, but how do you see this one panning out for us?
Yeah, I think. Well, as Nelson said, I think North London Derby is normally really exciting, but I think we've got to bear in mind that it is now Jose Mourinho in charge, and whether or not that takes it out of it a bit. As we've seen from the past few games, it hasn't been, let's say, the most exciting, unless if you are trying to get an early night's sleep. But I think it is a massive game. As Neville said, there's a lot riding on it. I would just like to add, there's probably a bit more in last season's when Aubameyang missed that penalty. But I don't want to rub that in too much. But I think I really don't know what to predict. To be perfectly honest with you, can't normally with the North London Derby, but I just think at the minute under Jose as well, you can't really predict how we're going to go at it. Like with the Bournemouth game, we thought we'd be right at them, and then obviously didn't even have a shot on target for crying out loud. So you just don't know what Jose, what team you're going to get, whether or not they're going to be firing for it, whether Jose's going to be like, no, come on, let's go for it, sort of thing, or if it's just going to be a part of the bus situation, try and get them on the counter. And if it is, I'm going to say this now, I will be absolutely fuming. Because at a North London derby, you don't want to see that. You want to see both teams going at each other, it actually being a good game. And if it's just parking the bus, trying to frustrate the other team, I'll just fall off, mate. I can't be bothered for that. Let's face it, facts. None of us want that. So we'll see what we get. Let's hope for a good game, but I just don't know anymore with Tottenham. Let's face the facts. You never bloody know. So yeah, what's your thoughts, Wes?
Right, North London derbies. I am always nervous come Derby Day. Always nervous. we could be in the best form, Arsenal could be in the most horrendous form, or vice versa, and you just know that one team is just gonna switch because it's Derby Day. I think that tends to usually be Arsenal, especially over the last few, because I think going into it over the last few years, for some bizarre reason, Arsenal have not gone into North London derbies in the greatest of forms, yet have just decided to try and turn up on the day, just to remind people and fans that they are still there, kind of thing, and they still can pull out a big performance in a big game. I don't know what to expect from Tottenham at all. But if I was to edge my bets and probably say something, I would imagine a similar performance to Man United, which wasn't ideal at all. The only thing is that we've probably got on our side is that Mourinho hates Arsenal more than probably a lot of Spurs fans. Genuinely hates Arsenal, which I guess is one positive out of his reign so far. And that he doesn't lose against Arsenal as well. He is a bit of a nemesis to them. So hopefully that can go in our favour and he can really, really get the lads up for this one. Not that they should need a lot of motivation anyway. But I think with it not having fans, I think they might just need that little extra 10% of a push that would probably come from us being in the ground anyway. But I mean, look, Derby Day, if it was down to me, call it a draw, shake hands and we move on. Because I can't be dealing with all this nervous tension and stuff like that. Obviously, usually Derby Day, you usually have a full week pretty much of build up, banter between fans, everything else that's going with it. But I think given the nature of the scheduling of games at the minute, that's not really happened. And I think there's also been a slight acceptance lately that, one team's trying to outdo each other, but then we kind of accept that we're both as bad as each other at the minute. And it's almost, we're trying to outdo each other to see who's actually worse. We'll get, like Arsenal with David Luiz and stuff like that. So you have an incident like that, and then we think, as Spurs fans, we go, oh my God, how have they got David Luiz at the back? And then you see us defend against Sheffield United, and it's like, oh, right, okay. We're not much better, really, and stuff like that. So, yeah, but how I see it going, how I see it panning out, yeah, from a Spurs perspective, I think it's going to be I'd expect a similar type of performance from the one against United, simply because it's a big game, and Jose has tended to go that way in his approach for the big games that he's had for us this season. I don't know if anybody agrees, disagrees with me on that, but feel free to jump in and let me know.
Well, I hope not. I absolutely hope not. Let's put it that way. Look, well, if that does happen, I know I won't have to have sleeping pills at night to get to sleep. So it's just, you just want a good game for North London derby. Say even if it's we've had 3-3 draws, 4-4 draws in the past. I can't be bothered to sit through a 0-0 draw where Arsenal is where it's attack the defence, for crying out loud. It's not what you want from a North London derby. I think it is probably one of the best derbies. You get emotion. You get players who actually come from the areas and everything. So I'm hoping it is a good game. I'm hoping them sort of players start for both teams and they're just going full on at each other. Because that's what you want to see. You want to see a scrappy game in the middle, but you want to see good football as well. You know what I mean? And I really hope it's not part of the bus situation. Let's put it that way.
Nelson, anything? You want to add anything else, or not?
Yeah, no. You bring up an interesting point that I was gonna bring up that point, but you actually brought it up. It's the fact that the only thing going against us heading into this game is your manager. We absolutely hate the guy. And at one point, he was actually linked to the job when Emery was still in charge. So, like, I think for us, I remember when you appointed him, and I think it was before the lockdown. Yeah, when you had appointed him, I think me and my family members, me and my brothers started to worry because we noticed that, oh no, Mourinho's in charge. Like when he's up against us, it's always an issue. So we were instantly worried about the next North London derby because we knew the way he sets up against us, But putting that aside, I think heading into the game, I think the last two games we actually faced against Mourinho was when Emery was in charge, and that was last season. We had a 2-0 win, and we also think we had a 2-2 draw away from home, and that was one of the worst Man United sides. But still, Mourinho was in charge, so that gives me a little bit of a boost. But with him, I think Mourinho has added motivation to try and get something over us. So that's one thing that should be playing on Arsenal fans' minds. But no, that's all I've got to add to this, yeah.
Perfect. Joe, you sort of teed us up fairly nicely there in saying that you expect and you hope that certain players play in the North London derby, the more sort of local lads or the younger players. We're going to go into our predicted lineups now then, and we'll start with Tottenham. How do you see us lining up for Derby Day?
Yeah, I think obviously Hugo's going to be in goal no matter what. Sadly, right back. Then I'd personally go for Toby and Jan, just because I think obviously they've been at the club for quite a while, both quite passionate. I think Jan obviously loves Tottenham, so I think he knows and understands it probably that bit more than Sanchez. So that's my thought process beyond that. Like, Davis will be left back. I'm a bit worried by that though, because obviously he has not had a break. And I'm just worried because, he does pick up injuries, Davis. And I just feel like we're overworking him. And if he plays, he's played all 3 games this week. And it's like, you know what I mean? And unless if he does start Sanchez and still starts Jan at left back, but I can't see that, to be honest, because obviously he loves Davis. We are both big fans of Davis as well. But I think you agree probably that he has played a lot, and I'm surprised he hasn't been rested in one of the games. Because obviously I want him to play on the Sunday game, so I'm surprised he played against Bournemouth. I was like, oh, that is a surprise. But I want Winks to play for certain, because I think obviously he's Tottenham through and through. I absolutely love that. There's that picture where he's pretty much leaning over Granit Xhaka, absolutely shouting at him. I'm like, absolutely love that lad. Obviously, Sissoko will play. Shouldn't, but he will. I just can't. Why is he in the team? Just why? It's just like every time I say his name, like in a predicted lineup, like I just think I get sadder and sadder. Like I'm just like, please, can we just have someone who can pass and kick a ball, like rather than just like he's like a dog, like he just runs. It's like a Jack Russell. That sounds absolutely brutal, and I know I'm going to be crucified for saying that because apparently he's our best player. Shut up, is he? Like, I've just had enough. Like, I was in a discussion earlier, and I was like, oh, some people actually think Sissoko's good, and they were like, well, he is. I'm like, no, he isn't. Shut up. Get your head. Learn about football. Like, anyway, I'll move on, or else I'm just going to cry. I think Bergwijn has to start because Lucas is. I don't know how Lucas is getting in the starting lineup at the minute. He's got no goal, or I think obviously since December, and I'm pretty sure I heard the other day that he's got no assists since December in the league either. How is he still playing? How is he still starting? If he's got no goal or no assist since December in the league, he's a forward, for crying out loud. It's not like he's a centre half. I'm even expecting Toby or something to get an assist. You know what I mean? Like with his passing. But so yeah, I think third line. I'm hoping Dele's back because obviously he's such a big game player. And I think obviously he doesn't mind a game against Arsenal, does he? But I've got a feeling, I've got a feeling he won't start though. I think because obviously he's been out for the past 2 games, and if he's not been ready for that, I think he might come off the bench sort of thing. So I'm going for Gio to start there. If Dele was fully fit, I think Dele would play, and probably, let's face it, with Jose, Winks probably wouldn't start with him. And probably Gio would be in there, which I don't understand. But anyway, so yeah, Gio in there. Son's going to be out on the left. Kane's going to be up top. So, you know, we've got 2 Tottenham lads through and through in the team. Obviously, you know, now is probably going to say, oh yeah, well, Harry played for Arsenal and everything. He's Arsenal. Well, he's not. So let's cut that one out straight away. But you know, that's the team what it's going to be. Let's face the facts. Obviously, I would change a few in that, but there's no point of even suggesting that because we know them players are going to start. So I'm not going to try and get my hopes up like I have been for the past few games. So yeah, let's move on from that before I want to go and get a drink.
Nels, how do you see us lining up? How do you think we're going to approach this game in terms of a predicted lineup?
I agree with what Joe has been saying. I feel like Jose's going to stick with the lineup that he's kind of gone with, but obviously from a fan perspective, I think, like Joe mentioned, I think it's important to get players in that actually understand the importance of the derby. Like, I will never, as much as I don't like the guy, I'll never forget what Eric Lamela did to Jack Wilshere. But he could even,
get the statue.
Yes.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. He could even get a chance to start the game because he would understand the importance. And I think we know how good he is in terms of ability, but I think that extra effort and passion for the game, I think you could just put him in there for that because you know he would give 100%. So
every one of them as well.
Yeah.
There'll be a car.
There will be one of them. I think Ali's an interesting one because Dele does definitely get up for these games, and his chip, I think last season in the Carabao Cup was really rude. That was rude. That was.
Have to get some extra sauce with that chip as well.
Bit of salt.
From somebody who just loves football, that technique and ability to dink it over was. I had to give my respects to Dele. He would definitely be up for this game, but would you risk his fitness at this point? I mean, I don't think he would care. I think if you put him straight in, I think he would just put on a show for the fans. I think one person I'm worried about is your left winger, Son. I think Wes knows how much, even though I'm an Arsenal fan, Sonny is. I'm saying Sonny like he's one of us. He's
secret Tottenham fan.
He's a baller, but I think I don't know. I think Eric Dyer being banned for doing something right, I can't lie, was a bit wrong for the FA to kind of punish him. I get why he did what he did, but if you're looking at an Arsenal perspective, what Guendouzi did and what he did to Maupay, I just think that compared to actually trying to combat racism, I don't know how anyways, the FA, something's going on there. I think I'm going to stick with what Joe had mentioned regarding your lineup, but I would be nervous if they did put Jan and Toby in the middle of the park, because I think those two together, there's something, they're on the same wavelength. And Jan definitely loves the club. I've noticed that. So I wouldn't change anything from what Joe had put out. Yeah.
Yeah, interesting. And on the point of Jan Vertonghen, I don't know if any Spurs fans had seen in the build-up to the Bournemouth game, the club put out a video of Sissoko scoring, and said it was the moment that we're all been waiting for him to actually score. And Vertonghen's comment of once in a lifetime, I thought was absolutely brilliant. I thought that was first class. But in terms of my Tottenham predicted lineup,
Make a Wish Foundation.
Cheers for that, Joe. In terms of my predicted lineup and how I see Spurs lining up, I think Hugo will go in goal. I think his experience will go unnoticed. I think in this game, he's experienced quite a few North London derbies, so I think that will help. Serge Aurier at right back, only because we haven't really got anybody else. I think my dad got a message from one of his mates during the Bournemouth game and said he couldn't deliver a pizza. Fairly accurate, to be fair. I think he's going to go with Alderweireld and Sanchez at centre halves. The reason being, I anticipate Arsenal are going to have a lot of pace in their front line. So we'd have to have a centre half who is pretty quick, and Sanchez fits that bill. And stuff. So that's who I see as a centre half pairing, and then I see Vertonghen playing at left back because Jose's gonna want to be defensively very, very sound. I know I mentioned for the Bournemouth game that Vertonghen might play at left back, but instead it was Ben Davies. And Joe, I fully agree in the sense that we have to manage Ben Davies. Playing 3 games in such a short space of time after coming back from an injury might not be the best move. So, I'm sure, the medical people at the club are liaising with all the coaching staff about players and managing their bodies and things like that. I think we'll have Winks and Sissoko in there, unfortunately, with having Sissoko in there because, again, I think he tried to spray a ball out to a player against Bournemouth and it went miles the other way.
But yeah, he's our best player, by the way.
Yeah, if there was a little clip to sum up Moussa Sissoko, I think that would have been it, to be honest. Or if not, you find the one of him trying to play the ball back to Hugo Lloris away at Sheffield United and gives away a corner. So, yeah, I anticipate those two. I'm going to go with Lucas, Lamela and Son in the 3 behind. I just think that Lucas, with him just getting the ball and being direct, it commits defenders. I know, Joe, his goal involvements and everything like that as a forward player hasn't been at the level that we need, but he could still potentially be a threat in the sense of carrying the ball forward and committing players, especially when you're up against the likes of Kolasinac, who is probably going to bring him down at some point. He could potentially get some free kicks in key areas for us. Go on, Joe, you're dying to say something.
Yeah, all I want to say is, every game what Bergwijn has started at our ground, he scored.
Okay.
And yet Lucas Moura is starting ahead of him. Baffled. Like, I just don't get it. Steven Bergwijn has hit the ground running at Tottenham. He's looked good, and yet Lucas Moura, who hasn't had a goal contribution in the league since December, started ahead of him. If I was Steven Bergwijn, I'd be like, "Hello, can I start, please?" Obviously, he did start the other night, but then but I think the one problem with Steven Bergwijn is that he hasn't looked like he could last 90 minutes yet. I think that could potentially be why Lucas Moura is starting, is because he can last 90 minutes. And I think I heard other people talking about it, and they were saying a big thing for Jose Mourinho is that he can trust players to last 90 minutes. Well, yeah, there's all that, but it's about the quality of the player as well. Like you know what I mean? Like the saying, quality over quantity. That's technically the saying. It doesn't matter how long they can play for. It matters what they do while they're playing. Like, it's as simple as that. And as we've said, Lucas Moura is living off Ajax away.
Can I finish my team?
Simple as that. Yeah, sorry.
And obviously the main man, the North London derby specialist, is going to be playing up top in Harry Kane. And yeah, I've got a feeling he's going to bag because it's a North London derby. It's like Kane, North London derbies. Thank you very much. One of those. So yeah, I think that's going to be my lineup. So Nelson, I'm going to come to you as you guys are the away team. How do you see yourselves lining up?
I think Mikel Arteta has actually now found his formation that he's I think he's stuck with the same formation for the last 3 games. I think it's since obviously we lost to Brighton and City, everyone was panicking, and I actually thought we'd get something out of that City game. I think he wanted to try out what he wanted to do, but obviously the unlikely injuries of Pablo Mari and Granit Xhaka, I think, affected the whole plan tactically that Mikel wanted to put forward. But since obviously we lost to Brighton, I think he's tweaked a few things, and that 3 at the back, I think he's going to stick with. So obviously he's going to put Martinez in goal. Leno apparently is looking to train before the end of the season, which is a positive update. But Martinez has been a very good deputy. It's making me very hard to miss Leno. Obviously he did concede against Leicester the other night, but before that he had, I think, every game he started, I think he had a clean sheet. But obviously that's also down to defence. So I mean, I don't know if our defence. I mean, oh gosh, back 3. I'm gonna go with Mustafi on the right. Supposed World Cup winner, meant to be, one of the best out there. You got David Luiz. His best role is a sweeping role. Either put him there or put him in a centre defensive mid. Anywhere apart from that, just don't put him on the pitch. Like, he's a sweeper or he's a centre defensive mid, because he's a midfielder. I've always said he's a midfielder. He's not a defender. He's not a defender. But I think Mikel will put him in the middle. On the left, he is not a left-sided centre-back, which is why I see why he brought Pablo Mari. But Kolasinac will play. Kolasinac will go in there. He's not a great defender, like one-on-one. I think he's a better wing-back than he is a centre-back or left-back even. But I think he will go there. So that's a 3 at the back. I think he'll go 4 in the middle, who's obviously the wing-backs. He'll put Kieran Tierney, who's going to be a mainstay in our side for years, is a brilliant addition. I was so happy when we bought him. I wouldn't go as far as say he gives me shades of Ashley Cole, but I remember Ashley Cole even gave him praise midweek against Leicester. So I'm going to go Kieran Tierney on the left. In the middle, Xhaka and Ceballos. Now, I think this is where the key battles will be. Xhaka has done remarkably well to, overturn, everything that happened. Like, you had a few before lockdown even happened, like, we were booing him for coming off. I mean, for being slow to come off, and now he's got an upturn in form, and Mikel sees something in him, and he brings a bit of leadership. The players seem to see that he brings a bit of leadership, and I don't think we've lost since Xhaka has been in the lineup that when Arteta selected him. So, I mean, that's good news there, but you never know, like I said, with the North London derby. Ceballos, I think the key battle will be between, I'm talking about the key battles now, but him and Lo Celso, I think that will be a key battle in terms of creating something in the middle. He set up the goal for Saka to assist Aubameyang on Tuesday. It was a great through ball. But I think, so Xhaka and Ceballos in the middle. On the right, you got, I don't know. I think he'll go with Hector Bellerin. But I would like to see Cedric Suarez. I'm going to stick with Hector Bellerin because I think it's worked better for Hector. Hector's better running forward. I think that knee injury has really affected his pace. And when you're facing Sonny, I think that's going to be a difficult task for him because he's lost a lot of pace since that knee injury. But I'm going to go with Hector on the right. Up top, I think he would have gone with Eddie Nketiah, which is a big risk, because I think he likes Eddie's work rate. But obviously Eddie, I think the club's trying to appeal the red card against Leicester, but I think it won't go through. I think Lacazette will start. Lacazette, the reason I put him there, I would have put him there even before Eddie, simply because he understands what it means to the fans. So I think Laka would go there. And I think in an away game like that, I think for him to be the focal point, his hold-up play would actually be really important to try and bring our attacks together. So, Oba on the left, our top scorer this season. I think in terms of goals, it will be between definitely Oba and Harry Kane to try and bag a few. I think Harry would be more fired up simply because he sees that Oba's ahead of him in the goal scoring charts. And like you said, both him and North London seem to go well together, and he just always bags a goal. I don't get it, but I think he's the all-time top scorer in North London derby, so it goes in his favour. So Oba on the left. Now the right is a bit difficult because on the right wing, I think Arteta will go Saka, but me personally, I would like to see Nico Rascart Pepe. Like, I would love to see Pepe start because I think he'd be up for this. He did well in the previous one at the previous meeting at the Emirates. He did okay, but I think he'd be up for a big game. And the last defender in the big game that he rinsed was Luke Shaw. He rinsed my man out. Like, he absolutely rinsed him. So I think he'd be up against Ben Davies. And I think, like you said, Ben Davies coming back from injury has played 3 games straight. Like, Pepe is very unpredictable in terms of what side he's going to go on. But I wouldn't disregard Saka too. Like, at 19 years of age, to do what he's doing. Like, I think somebody tweeted the other day that, like, unpopular opinion, that Saka's long-term position could be right wing, and we bought Pepe for 70 million, like, for over 70 million. Like, you saw the way he twisted Johnny Evans just before he set up Aubameyang. So that one, I don't know about right wing, but I would love to see personally Pepe. But I think Arteta's going to go with Saka. And when we scored against Leicester, I think that was some of the best football after the goal, like 25 minutes before the first half ended. Like, that was some of the best football I've seen in that front 3. There was so much movement, like, in that game. So I think he might go for that. And yeah, I'm a Saka, Aubameyang and Lacazette up top. So 3-4-3. I'll go for that.
Perfect. Joe, how do you see this dodgy lot lining up?
Yeah, I don't think I can argue too much with that. But their defence, like, as you was reading it out, I was thinking, goodness gracious, we better, like, exploit that. But then probably won't even end up having a shot on target, for crying out loud. But yeah, I think obviously Martinez in goal, I've actually been quite impressed with him, to be fair. I have to admit, he actually has looked quite solid. Mustafi and David Luiz, that back 3 is literally, I thought our defence was, but reading that out, Jesus Christ. But yeah, I've got a feeling Cedric could start ahead of Bellerin. I think he's actually looked all right. That was a weird one though, when that signing happened. I was like, what's on? Okay. Obviously, I have to admit, Kieran Tierney does look good. Probably quite a good signing that. Granit Xhaka is just going to be one of those players who just tries to kill people, and then when he gets hurt or something, Harry Winks will come and laugh at him. You know, then you've got the work experience lad. You know, the game probably doesn't matter that much for him.
Oh, that's brilliant.
You know, all he's thinking about now is just getting back now, and it surely, you know, he's had enough. You know, doesn't want to stay. See you later. I think Saka has to start. Like, he is an absolute baller. I cannot lie. That kid, unreal. Like, he's got to be in that starting team. If he's not in that starting team, I'm going to be rubbing my hands together. Absolutely lovely. Like, Pepe, like, he's got nothing on Saka. Like, hey, 72 million.
Got a few chicken shops. I'll give him that, Pepe.
Yeah, but I don't. Few chicken
That's
shops.
a good one. That's a good one.
But I tell you what, like, Saka, absolute baller. whether or not like you start Aubameyang in a central role and you start Saka and Pepe, that could maybe be an option. But I think you're right. I think Lacazette will start. Aubameyang out wide or something. Obviously, he won't show up because it's a big game. You've got, that's what I think. To be fair, you know, I was a bit brutal in that, but it's the truth. You know, so Aubameyang with the penalty. Oh, he's missed it. Oh, shame.
Joe, you're absolutely loving this, I can tell. I think for me, again, pretty similar to you boys. I think at the moment, the Arsenal team is sort of picking itself by and large. And I don't think Arteta would want to try and upset the balance of the team. And I think it's a case with Arteta at the minute of just only making changes if he has to. I mean, I am a massive fan of Kieran Tierney. I've said it previously. I think he was probably going to be one of the signings of the season had he not had all his injury problems, because I think he is that good, Kieran Tierney. And I think he could end up being one of the best left-backs in the league, and then probably, if not in Europe, as well. Just a shame that he plays for you lot, because we could actually do with Kieran Tierney, to be fair. Yeah, I think Saka has to play. He's in electric form at the minute, and you have to keep that momentum going. It wouldn't shock me though if Martinelli got a bit of a look in. I think his pace in behind could cause us a few problems and stuff as well. But yeah, I think by and large, Nels, I think you've hit the nail on the head with your team selection, and you know, let's just hope that Mustafi, David Luiz and Kolasinac have one of those days at the office, and you know, it all works out for us from a Tottenham perspective. Joe, I'm going to come to you for a score prediction for this particular game. What are you going to go for, and who's going to bag?
I think it's going to be a draw, to be perfectly honest with you. Like, it's just the way both teams are playing. I think it's going to be 1-1. I think Harry Kane's going to score for us, obviously. For them, now I've probably said you won't turn up, or Aubameyang's probably going to score any. Let's face the facts. But Aubameyang or Lacazette for them, I don't really know. Like, depends if Aubameyang wants to show up or whether or not he wants to play hide and seek.
Decent. Right, Nels, score prediction, and who's going to score?
I always go for high predicting scores because it's a North London derby. So I'm going to agree with Joe in the sense that I don't want it to be a draw, but it's likely in terms of the form that both teams are heading into this game, it's going to be a draw. I'm going to go 2-2. I'm going to go with Kane to bag another. And I am going to go with an unlikely score. I think Toby Alderweireld will score. I don't know why. I just think he will. I think Toby will bag one. So, and for us, I think there will be unlikely scores from both teams. So I'll go with Aubameyang to score for us. And I think we're going to get an unlikely goal from an unlikely source, like, I don't know, probably Kolasinac, if I'm talking. But, I think it'll be a 2-2 draw. I wanted to go for a 2-1 win, Arsenal, but I mean, obviously, I think what I'm trying to say is teams away have actually not been afraid to attack the home team simply because I think the fans being eliminated has actually helped their confidence and allow them to relax on the ball in these in these environments that would normally be hostile for away teams. So I think that's why I was leaning towards a 2-1 win, but no. I'm going to have to agree with Joe on this one, a draw, and I'm going to go with a 2-2 score.
Perfect. I think it'll be a 2-2 draw as well. I think Harry Kane's going to score for Tottenham. Of course he is. It's a North London derby. It's what he does. And then I actually think Son's going to score because if I remember that cup game from last season, his goal was really, really well taken as well off his left foot. Had Dele been available, because I don't think he will be, I may have put him down to score, because he doesn't mind a goal against Arsenal either. But yeah, no, Harry Kane's definitely going to score. So any people over the age of 18, 2 guarantees from the game. If Lamella's going to play, put him on to be carded, and Harry Kane to score. So yeah, I think for Arsenal, I'm going to go with Lacazette and Mustafi to score. If I think back,
Mustafi.
yeah, if I think back to a North London derby at the Emirates, Mustafi scored in that particular one. I think it was in our full season at Wembley. I think he definitely scored in that. So yeah, it's just one of those, Joe. We don't keep set pieces, so might as well put us down to concede. And I think, or set pieces, don't keep clean sheets. Sorry. And yeah, I see them nicking a set piece, and I think Mustafi's just going to get his head on it and stuff. But yeah, I think Lacazette is going to score as well. I think his goal in the reverse fixture at the Emirates 100% changed the course of the game. Right on the stroke of half time, I think had we had gone in at 2-0, I wouldn't have seen Arsenal potentially coming away from that game with anything. But all of a sudden, Lacazette scores, it's 2-1. Arsenal are back in the game, and they've got that momentum then to take out into the second half, and they ultimately got that second goal. So that's how I see it happening score wise. Guys, as always, let us know in the comments section your thoughts on score predictions and team lineups for both sides as well. And that is it for our North London derby preview. Make sure you like the video on YouTube. Obviously, comment your thoughts on it as well. Subscribe to the YouTube channel and turn the notifications bell on as well, so whenever we post. Don't forget to follow us on Spotify as well, because we are on there and posting the audio clips of all the podcasts on there as well. And follow us on social media for more Tottenham-based content at Only One Hotspur. Just leaves me to thank Nelson for jumping on this one today. Great to have you on, Nels. And thank you, Joe, as always.
Thank you very much.
Up the Spurs. Come on.
Up the Spurs. Come on.